Les, Ralph, dinner.
Okay, Ma. In just a few minutes.
Hurry up now. Those two boys are forever down in the cellar playing with those wires. Whatever are they doing, Frank?
It's some newfangled fad, Mother. Something called radio.
Radio? What's radio?
Mrs. Atlas had a very good question. At that time, radio was just an infant. But that was soon to change. In a few short years, this innovation would bring the world into people's homes all over America. The story begins in Mrs. Atlas's own basement. Les and Ralph Atlas had a hobby, operating an amateur spark station in the basement of their Lincoln, Illinois home. By 1923, that hobby became a viable broadcasting station. The family produce business was licensed with a power of 200 watts and assigned its now famous call letters.
This is WBBM Radio in Lincoln, Illinois.
The next year, Mr. Atlas sold his produce business. The family and the radio station moved to Rogers Park in Chicago. And WBBM was back in the basement, on the air 3 evenings a week with recorded music.
Barney Google with his googly eyes.
1925. WBBM Radio got its first real studio at the Broadmoor Hotel. Les Atlas combed the streets of Chicago for live entertainers, literally pulling people off the street and up to the mic. His philosophy worked. Programs were planned. The audience grew. And with this success, Chicago radio had its first sponsors. By the late 1920s, WBBM Radio meant live entertainment. Every Saturday night, Paul Whiteman played host to the Nutty Club. Live from the Granada Cafe, the King of the Nuts hosted guests like Helen Morgan, Ted Lewis, and the King's Jesters. 1929, WBBM Radio doubled its power to 10,000 watts and moved its studios to the prestigious Wrigley Building on Michigan Avenue. BBM hit the big time, and people noticed. People like the founder and president of the Columbia Broadcasting System, William Paley. 1931, Mr. Paley made Leslie Atlas an offer he couldn't refuse. 20 years after he took up his hobby, Mr. Atlas sold WBBM Radio to CBS. He stayed on as vice president of CBS in Chicago, still upholding his commitment to live entertainment. Columbia Network shows joined local Chicago programs to make WBBM Radio the world's best broadcast medium.
Hello, London. This is New York calling you. This is Bob Trout calling H.V. Kaltenborn in London. New York calling London. Mr. Kaltenborn, if you can hear us.
1932. For the next 2 decades, the Wrigley Building studios were reeling with drama, comedy shows, music, sound effects, live audiences, and more. Writers, musicians, stars created some of the finest moments in radio history. The WBBM Air Theater had it all.
I love to spend each Sunday with you.
Campbell Soup bring you Amos and Andy.
Don't get nervous, Andy. That's the main thing, you see.
Well, Gracie, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Oxidol's own Ma Birkin.
Your hit parade presenting the 12 hit songs of the week. We don't pick them, but we play them.
Presenting Red Allen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everybody. When I go for a walk.
The Romance of Helen Trent is the story of a woman who will not let life pass her by because she is over 35.
I'm sitting on top.